Advertising media has the best ability to take action. In other words, people do something as a result of it. And I think this is really, really compelling when you start to see this compared with some of the other forms of media, print, television, radio. I think we are now in a society where we're bombarded with messages on a day-to-day basis. Do you know how many emails we receive into our inbox every day? And we'd like to hazard a guess. 100, yeah? It's about 147 emails, yeah? And when you're actually out and about, I think what we've become is communication blind, yeah? How many of you do email marketing to try and attract people? The challenge we've got is just blasting out. What we're talking about here is something that's very physical. If you think about a mug, for example, we drink around 1,500 cups of tea and coffee each per person. So actually the amount of impressions and impacts that person is getting is 1,500. The moment everybody else sees that, even more so. I'm going to talk to you about one particular gift. Has anybody got a gift that they've had, or they've picked up at a show, or they've received, that they've had for a very long while? Maybe you'd like to share an example of something that they've had.
Bottle opener.
You've had a bottle opener, that's a great example. How long have you had it?
10 years.
10 years, great.
It works.
It works, it works. This is my little toy. Yeah, I've had this for 22 years. 22 years. The brand name is called Commission Junction. Yeah. The strap line is called Sales Arriving Daily. And what do you think it is? What do you think it is? I picked this up at Internet World and everybody was going, you know, nuts for them. And it created so much attention, and this was 20 years ago, a long time. What do you reckon it is? There's a clue here: Commission Junction and Sales Arriving Daily. It is, this gentleman's got it right, it's a train whistle, but no an unusual train whistle, so it makes a wonderful noise of right, now I've shown that to about 20,000 people, yeah, and I know that's a software company, so when I see that, so that's an example of something that perhaps isn't necessarily useful, but it certainly grabbed attention. And that's what branded merchandise does. It creates a really powerful conversation. It also is the only advertising media that allows you to say thank you. If you receive it, if you see a TV advert or radio, you're not being thanked. But when somebody gives you a gift, it's a sense of appreciation. It can also be a well done as well. So the other thing that came out of the survey is what were the ingredients in a really great promotional product? Well, first of all, people want a quality product. Yeah? So what I would do for you, so 80% of promotional items are ordered and delivered within a 10-day frame. One of the things I really want you guys to go away with today is don't leave the purchasing or the consideration of promotional merchandise to the last minute. Think about it as a strategic part of your overall marketing mix. That's really, really important. It's a very powerful advertising medium. But sadly, so often it's, oh, we forgot the merchandise. And yet actually, if done well, it can be very, very good. And also, allow enough budget. Sometimes if you haven't got much budget, you know, you're at the lower end of potentially of quality. But what is interesting is you're putting your logo and your message on these items. Yeah? So you want people to feel good about it. The other thing is something that's memorable. That is very memorable. And there will be things that you've got that you can select from here that do just that. Relevance. Make sure that you really think about your target audience. I'll allude to that in a minute. And usefulness. Yeah? Interestingly enough, when I get asked from marketeers, I want something new, I want something exciting, I would argue that you also want something useful. Because if it's useful, people are going to use it day in, day out. A mug, for example, is still one of the top 5 promotional items. I've told you how many people drink it every day. But if you want your mug to stand out, why don't you get a latte mug or a jumbo mug? You know, with our business, we give you more. So by the fact that you've got a jumbo mug, it's 25% bigger than all the other mugs. Yeah? And a long desk life. The desk area is the biggest use of promotional products, more than any other area. So some of the top selling product categories areas you can see there, pens, bags, big growth in electronics, but that's of course because we're all starting to use that more and more through our phones and our laptops and notepads as well. So how do I start? I'll tell you what I want you to do. Really think differently about when you're going to select promotional merchandise. Sometimes you've got some really great ideas at this show, but sometimes you can be overwhelmed by choice. How many of you looked in a catalogue and said, oh, I don't know what to choose, right? So from this moment on, I'd like you to change the way you select promotional products. I'd like you to start with a blank piece of paper and think very carefully about your perfect target customer. Where do they go? What do they do? Yeah? And think about what they are going to be using. But the chances are there's a promotional product that will enable you to support that. And these guys at Outstanding Branding and other organisations will be able to source much, much, much more than what's in the catalogue or on the website. So that's really important what I've just said there. The other thing is, what do you want these promotional products to do? I went to a car show many years ago now, and I was on the Ford Motor Company stand, and again they were giving out some mugs. They looked really basic, just white mugs with the Ford logo on, and yet in the background their whole stand was so visionary about this Icelandic scenery. They've got this new Escort, looks fantastic, and yet they're giving away this fairly basic mug. So I said, why don't you do a transfer print with all of this graphic, yeah? So you're selling the dream of this car around the outside, and on the inside of the mug you can put the on the road price £9,995. So this is a great way of selling the sizzle, but making it very, very driven by a call to action. Think about the budget, yeah? So often I say to people, look at the objectives that you're trying to deliver. And if you haven't got enough money that you don't think, either I ask for more money, or do less of something and take an upper spec. Yeah? Lead time, two types of lead time, obviously fast, express, very, very possible to do that sort of stuff, but also if you want bespoke products, some of these things might have to come from the Far East, easily doable. One of the things I do suggest to you is sit down with your promotional gift company and plan out your next 12 months. So don't leave it to the last minute. Tell them when your next exhibition is. Exhibitions, so if you've got 3 or 4 of them over the year, do that. Talk to them about maybe a conference that you've got, and let these guys do the work for you, and they'll come up with a 12-month plan. Okay, so let's just talk about message, yeah? Think about some of these products. So what would be a really good message and strapline we could say for that product, do you think? That's a 2 usage, it's a ruler and a calculator. What could we say about a company related to that? No? How about we always measure our client success? What about this one? Worldwide travel adapter. How about we are always adapting to our clients' needs? Now, some of these things are a little bit cheesy, I grant you, but what happens is, you know, they motivate people to take action. And I've got a real good living, breathing example of that. An ex-customer of mine bought nearly 100 of those, never bothered to ask me what the price was, because actually what he did do is he sort of fell in love with the message and what he was trying to communicate. So think about the relevance, the message and the product that you're trying to do. And then here's another one. This was an example of a product that actually you can see on the stands here today. It's actually a phone fan, so you put it on the top of the phone and it makes it really cool. So actually we were on an exhibition, a colleague of mine here, and we stopped people in the aisles and we said to them, I've got the coolest promotional product at this show. And if you say that statement to anybody, what do you think they do? They're naturally inquisitive. Yeah? So I get hold of the fan, I put it in the phone, spins round, and I show it to them. It was a warm day, and she said, wow, that really is cool. So, you know, keeping our customers cool. These are the sorts of things which people don't, I can see your reaction, you smile. That's what your customers will do. But more importantly, they will share it now. So this is about not only are you trying to give something that's useful and relevant to your clients, but actually you've got amplification. Here's another one. Gentleman in the front there was saying he's from a coaching organisation. So what about, looking for growth? Helping somebody grow their business, and you send them not only a little portable tree there, but actually a whole packaging. I'm going to talk to you about packaging as well. It's a really important point. I'm sure nobody in the room, is anybody targeting plumbers as an audience? No, I always have this actually. The reason I want to say this is because it actually comes back to the point I said to you earlier about blank piece of paper. So when I had my own promotional gift company, I thought, well, what does a plumber do? Where do they go? What sort of activities? So it's like having our own mood board. I mentioned this guy here because he's a multi-millionaire, Charlie Mullins. He made plumbing into the 21st century. But all of his staff are all liveried up with polo shirts and shirts, all the vans there. It's all part of a corporate image. So here we've got a fridge magnet in the left-hand corner. So that's something maybe they could give to the consumers to get a new boiler renewal. A thermal mug that they could actually use because a lot of the work they're doing is outside. A head torch, so when they're in the dark, they can actually use their hands very easily. A radiator key, so they can use that and even potentially give it away as a gift. And then, diaries and pens that they can use on a day-to-day basis. So the reason I say that is it's just helping you get this idea of blank piece of paper and think about the target market. Power banks, they're still one of the fastest growing promotional products. Again, great strapline here is we're with you 24/7 because, to be honest, people need support for their power banks. I'm just going to draw your attention to one issue though. I don't know if you remember EE, they did 2 million of them, huge great big ordered directly from the Far East, but a handful of them actually got overheated in ladies' handbags. Do you remember it? It got into the news. Unfortunately, what was supposed to be a really great campaign turned out to be all sorts of challenges. So the one thing I really need you to think about is buying and making sure that your products that you're buying are compliant. When we asked marketeers at Marketing Week Live what their understanding of compliance was, to be honest, it was all over the place. So when you're buying promotional products, you are naturally assuming that you're buying compliant products. Are you right? Well, sadly, that's not always the case. So one of the things that we always advocate is that you work with one of our members and make sure that, particularly for electronic items, that they are adhering to legal requirements. I love USB sticks, really, really popular. And the reason I say, I give you some examples here is because you can pretty much have, for every business that you all represent, or association or charity, somebody can make a USB stick for you. And it is still one of the most useful items that people have in their business. Another example, if you were targeting students, for example, is giving them an opportunity to upload their flash drives. So what you can do is, when you're communicating to your target audience, is not just give them a free gift, but tell them how they can use it. So, how many of you do telephone pads or just simple pads with a logo? I want you to really think now about, don't just put a logo. You are in a great opportunity to be able to educate people. So this could be a set of daily targets. This could be some key messages that you need to get over to your target audience. Yeah? Cheap as chips to do. Personalisation is very much of the rage now. With digital printing, there's all sorts of things that you can do. So if you know the names of your target markets, then the chances are they will keep that product for a hell of a lot longer. In addition, I was talking to you earlier about packaging, wasn't I? Here's a very good example of what is basically a mug box, but it's been turned into a dishwasher. And that's what we need to be doing now, is really stopping people. That's why it's called disruptive. and the bottom there's all sorts of little mailing boxes that you can send out. Again, speak to a promotional gift company and they can help you with all sorts of ideas and solutions. That has to be the ultimate in personalisation, so you can actually have your own branded cookie. Hampers. Hampers were one of the best ways to motivate. When we asked marketeers what was the gift that motivated you to do something more, the hampers came out #1. Now this is great if you've got a whole team of people rather than an individual. It gives them the chance to share it. You can also put your own products into a hamper. You can personalise it considerably, and you can theme it. So the variety of hampers now is so extensive. You can also use it as a referral gift or as a reward mechanism. There's a lot of talk at the moment about CSR and doing good for the local community. One of the things that you can do, a lot of charities, for example, a big part of their revenue now is coming from merchandise that they're actually selling. There's no reason that you can't do that as well. So much of the time we talk about merchandise that's given away, but there's now all sorts of models emerging where actually people are really falling in love with your brand and will pay for it. Let me just ask you one question. How valuable do you think a Leicester City football kit is right now? Yeah? The perception of, you saw some of those pictures on TV on Monday, the city went blue. Now if you can't get a bit of Jamie Varley and you're not close to him, actually if you can get his football shirt, then in a way you've done the same thing. And again, you know, it's amazing how these sorts of things make a big, big difference. Did you know you can personalise real fruit? Don't believe me? Have a look. You can actually have engraved into the apple your own logo there. And you can actually have your own pouch as well. Yeah. So in one of my older companies, I used to I created an incentive, and it was related to cider, obviously Bournemouth. And we wanted to create a prize for the Big Apple. So we actually had some personalised Big Apples, and we sent the apple with no more information. So effectively what it was a teaser campaign, and then the letter would follow. I hope you received the apple but wondered what it was all about. Well, let me show you. This is the competition, this is the prize. So the other thing is, as we're generally getting less direct mail, when you do stuff like this, it really stands out. Lots of on-pack promotions. It's interesting now, when one beer company starts, others follow. Yeah, pretty much all the main lager brands now are doing a free glass. And what's really interesting about this particular campaign is some of them are even buying the glasses and not even buying the beer, which I know sounds odd, but it proves to you more than anything else the memorabilia of that branded item is really, really important. I know some festivals, for example, what they'll do is they'll, if you buy a drink and you pay another £3 for the glass, they'll give you an extra deposit and they give it to you back. But most people actually don't return it because they want that sort of memorabilia. Another one here, all sorts of different ones. Does anybody remember seeing the Kellogg's spoon, personalised spoon? That has been hugely successful. How likely is it for us to throw away our own personalised spoon? Yeah, it's not. So every single time people are eating cereal, Kellogg's, Kellogg's, Kellogg's. So this is another example of where actually you can use an on-pack. It doesn't have to be in store, but there is pretty much a book for everything. Even in your own industries, what potentially would your target market like to receive? Yeah, you can go to a bespoke booksellers and they can actually brand it with your logo on it. And you can see the example there generated a significant amount of return for that company. Now, insight, really, really valuable in this day and age. How many of you do surveys and things with clients? Yeah? But you're asking somebody to give up their time and complete that. And quite frankly, we're all really busy people, aren't we? So why don't you say and reward them with a really nice gift? Great thing about a Parker pen or a Cross pen or something like that, it's a well recognised, so it has an intrinsic value. And some of the insight that you're likely to get from it is considerable. I mentioned the fridge magnet because it's not just something that's 80 or 90p or whatever it might be. You have got, I don't know, any of you focus on consumer related food and drink or anything like that? It doesn't really matter, but there are other services that you could provide. What you're doing is you're renting space on that consumer's fridge. Because you think how many of you open and shut the door, open and shut the door, and that's just you. What about when friends and family come round and see the details there? Could be a local carpenter or something like that. But rather than just have a standard fridge magnet, why don't you add a clipboard so you can use it as a shopping list or something? We all want to get in front of our clients, so this was an example of a big foot manufacturer that wanted to launch a new product, and they thought, well, actually what we're going to do is we're going to send some packaging out to all of our top clients on the basis, you know, we'd like to get one foot in the door. Different, creative, got them a significant amount of appointments on the back of that. I mentioned personalisation a little while ago. The great thing about a calendar is it remains on people's desks 365 days of the year. The great thing about this one is it's personalised to the individual. Has anybody seen these calendars before? So every single page, first piece of business that you're doing, you're on trial. There's no guarantee that you're going to get any repeat business. So if when somebody receives something nice like that, what happens is they talk and they share it with other people in the business and say, cool, wow, that looks really good. It says you care right at the outset. You can also reward people for liking and sharing, run competitions and use branded merchandise, because all you're doing at the same time is amplifying your message. There's some pretty cool seating out there at the Mount, and I'm going to show you the seats in the right hand corner. Did anybody see that on Facebook or on? No? It almost went viral. Yeah? They might have just done, they might have just ordered one seat. But what's really amazing with that one seat, that promoted the Nivea brand to over 1 million people. And that's really interesting sometimes, is even if nobody sat on it, it did a phenomenal job. So and then if you do little trade shows, a bit like this, all the covers can be personalised. If you're doing outside events or sponsoring the seating area, also something to consider. I wanted to mention high quality gifting, you know, because one of the benefits of going up a notch is it has a profound effect on your customers. So I mentioned Schaefer. This was actually in conjunction with London Fashion Week. But who knows who this lady is? Anybody? No? I'll tell you later. T-shirts. Who does exhibitions here? Anybody do exhibitions? Great, okay. First thing I always say, as the guys are wearing here, they haven't just gone for a white or a navy blue polo shirt, they've gone for something really distinctive. The two primary colours, the ICs, are orange and purple. So I say to everybody, if you've got your team, wear orange and purple. But don't just have the logo on the left breast, everybody does that. Think about something that you can use on the back. As you can see here, you're actually creating a call to action by branded clothing. I've seen everything about Boxing Day sale starts on the 25th of December. So people walking around are walking billboards. But when they've got really distinctive colours, they stand out. And it amazes me when I go to exhibitions where sometimes the exhibition staff are almost merged in with the visitors. These little guys are phenomenal. The Meerkat has been probably the best example of a promotional premium ever. Over 3 million of them have now been sent out. That is attributed to direct pieces of insurance. That isn't a quote. If you've actually done a piece of business, you will get one. When it first started out, because he's become almost a real celebrity in his own right, people were they were selling them on eBay for hundreds of pounds. That shows and improves. So when you see that advert, what do you not see on that advert? What do you not see on that advert? Pretty much anything about insurance. So he's become the embodiment of that, and it is by far one of the most successful insurance companies. And I will advocate that that's because it's come from a personality, but also a premium. So is there a personality in your business that potentially you could think about having? Last year we did Promotional Products Week, and we used Promo the Panda. Great success. I sent it to 200 of our members, and they took pictures of it all over the world, you know. So of course by them doing that, I've got 200 of our members amplifying the promotional merchandise and effective message. You know, the other thing is licensing. Licensed merchandise where you can actually link with a well-known brand. Clearly you have to pay a premium for doing that, but you know, these little minions were hugely popular. Even if I know people that absolutely detested Serene, but went and bought loads of it because they want the little mans. Umbrellas. There is such an array of umbrellas. Go and see the guy over here that does the umbrellas. There's wonderful things now possible. All I would say to you is really think about the spec. Your customers will keep a really nice quality umbrella for a lot longer. And let's not forget, on average, it rains 147 days a year. Fortunately, I come from East Anglia, so it's a lot less. Unfortunately, you're in Manchester, where it's a lot more. But that is really important to think about. Go higher spec, and if you can, double vent that's got windproof. Goodie bags. There's all sorts of examples of goodie bags. They could be left at a seminar, they could be an exhibition, a party, all sorts of things. Really think about what you could do. I actually did a picture on my Facebook of the one for the Oscars. It was the goodie bag to die for. I think it was worth about $3 grand or something ridiculous, but really amazing. Case studies. Here's an example of the selfie stick, you know, and what happens there is that they're getting their consumers to receive one of those by sending in messages. So talking about a call to action, here's a great example. Over 1 million of them. They had nearly 600,000 entries. They had nearly 4,000 Twitter mentions, and they had 13.7 million Twitter, and that's all because of a promotional product. So you still need more? Answer, audience says yes. Nearly finished. Loads of exhibition giveaways here to think about. These are the top ones that I've selected. And again, some other great ideas that you can use. This guy on the right here, he only ever used these stress balls, got 2,000 he gave away, and each time he's creating a lead inquiry. All I'm just going to say to you now, because I'm almost running out of time, is educate. Think about your message all the time. If there's nothing else I want you to remember, really think about that. And this is the campaign that a fruit manufacturer did to encourage children to eat more fruit and vegetables. You can see there 100% increase in fruit, 192% in them increasing vegetables. You know, and then 160,000 of these bibs were used in schools, after school clubs. You see, there's all sorts of things that you can do to really make a difference. In pub promotions, yeah, you can say thank you. These little cupcakes are hugely popular now. So rather than an anniversary having a big cake, you can actually have some really cool little ones. And then lastly, why don't you think about having your own collection? Your own merchandise store. These guys here can help you do that. Pull together exclusive range, some of which might be bespoke. Talk to them, think about it, and then particularly if you've got people from different parts of the country ordering stuff that you want to control, it's a really, really great idea. I want you to always think big. That is the world's largest t-shirt, so it's fairly significant. And obviously, I'd like you to always buy from one of our members. Outstanding Branding is not only a member, it's a charter member. It's recently won Website of the Year award, so it's a great company to work with. But we represent nearly 600 companies right across the business. The great thing as well is if you've got any problems with Outstanding Branding, you can come to us. Yeah, what we're about is setting the mark. So thank you very much for your time. I know I've got to run a little bit, but I hope you've enjoyed it and I've given you a little bit of information. Now, are there any questions at all that you might have?